Are you prepping the right way? Chances are you're not. Welcome to Integrative Preparedness. I'm Steve Smith, and that's what I want to talk about today. You know, if you watch the news much, or if you watch many preparedness channels, you're fed a constant diet of things to be afraid of. The latest thing that is going to be the end of your world, the end of everything, the one thing that you need to be more concerned about than anything else, and you need to be scared to death. And the reason that they do that is because they know that's what brings views. You know, there's an old newspaper axiom that if it bleeds, it leads. People are drawn to the tragedy, to the disaster, and there's a psychological aspect to that people feel better when they read about things that aren't happening to them, bad things that aren't happening to them. That's why you never read an article about good things happening, or not too much. Well, this causes people to waste a lot of time and money and energy on preparing for the wrong things and ending up actually not being prepared for the very things that they think they're preparing for. I want to talk about that. You know, in integrative preparedness, if you're new to us, and this is mainly for those who are kind of new to the channel, those who are with us and have been with us for quite a while, this is going to be old news to you, but it's still important news, and it may be something that you want to pass on to people you know who you are trying to get involved in preparedness, and that's important. That's one of the best things you can do after becoming involved in preparedness yourself, is to try to get other people involved in preparedness. By the way, there's a problem, and a lot of people have found this, that when you are involved in preparedness, you will find some resistance from the people around you, right? When you try to convince them of the importance of being prepared, they will resist. And much of that resistance comes from the fact that what they call preppers, and you all know I don't like that term at all. I call serious people, PMPs, preparedness-minded people or preparedness-minded persons, because these are people who prepare out of responsibility. And preparedness is the ultimate responsibility and the ultimate in responsibility. So, but a lot of this negative feeling about preppers comes from this idea, and it's founded on sadly on a lot of examples of people just acting crazy about it. You know, the latest thing that's all they can talk about, the horrible things that are happening. One day it's the collapse of the economy, and the next day it's hyperinflation, and the next day it's the collapse of the government, and the next day it's the border, and the next day it's the war in Ukraine, and the next day it's the war in the Middle East, and the next day it's an asteroid, a comet, or this or that. Well, I'm not diminishing the importance or the threats of any of those, but the thing is, when you live your life consumed with this and by this, first off, it'll drive you a little bit off the rails. And it's certainly going to drive people away from you if you try to convince them with this constant onslaught of impending doom and disaster. Okay, the one that I just put up over on the Patreon channel dealing with mockers and arguers. You know, and anybody who's been involved with preparedness for a long time, as I said, who has tried to get other people to understand the importance of it, you're met by this. So if you're not with us on Patreon, I'll put the link down below. It's where we put a lot more of the serious preparedness material, and it'll just cost you $1 a month, but you come over there and you'll be glad you did. But if you are preparing in this way, in out of constant fear and just bing, bang, bang, bang all over the place, you know, you're going to do it wrong, and you have been. And many people find when they look back on their earlier stages of preparedness that they did it wrong. And I'll invite any of you who have been in preparedness for quite a while to leave your comment to help, and down in the comment section, to help those who are kind of newer, because we have so many so many new people getting into preparedness, and so many people joining this channel, and so many people joining over on the Patreon channel, that one of the things that the newer people can do is learn from people who have been there, done that. And one of the things that older people who have been there, done that can do is share their experiences with the younger people. If you don't have an understanding of your goal, you're not going to know how to get there. And if you don't do it in a responsible, reasonable, and thoughtful way, you're going to waste your time, your money, and your energy. You know, the concept, the principles of integrative preparedness is to enable you to live a good life regardless of what happens. Okay, to live a high quality life completely divorced from all of those external systems over which you have little or no control, whether it's the financial system, whether it's the power system, the gas system, the water system, the food delivery system. All of these things come into play. And if you're tuned into this and you're interested about this, you need to do it in a proper, responsible manner, and you will get there. Now, right now, and if you're newer to preparedness, you will find that when you watch prepper channels or preparedness channels, you have a very interesting group of people. And one of those interesting groups is the group of people who will tell you, well, if you're not prepared today, it's too late. Well, that's not true at all. Those people don't know what they're talking about. Just because somebody leaves a comment, don't assume they know what they're talking about. Or for that matter, just because somebody makes a video. And then there will be the group that says it's impossible for anybody to be totally prepared. Well, that means that they won't do what it takes to be totally prepared. See, it takes work, it takes money, it takes time, it takes energy, it takes a plan, it takes a thoughtful process to become totally independent from the system. And there are people, and there are plenty of people, who are totally independent from the system right now. And you want to work towards that goal, because when you're at that goal or close to that goal, when everything or anything, whatever falls apart, you're not going to notice. Just like Jim Wyatt in the Stonemont series says, when it all falls apart, he didn't want to notice. One of the things that I ask people when they come on and they'll say, well, it's impossible for anybody to be totally prepared. Have you thought about such and such? What about such and such? My answer is often, have you read my books? Have you read my books? The Stonemont series. It's 6 novels in serial form about the complete plan for preparing for, surviving, and rebuilding after a total collapse of everything. That's what I ask. Have you read my books? And they always say, well, no. And I said, well, I could make videos for 100 years and never cover everything I've already covered in detail in this 6-book series. And yes, the 7th coming for all you who have been after me. When's 7 coming, Steve? I'm sorry, I'm behind. I've been so busy with other things, but I'm working on number 7. I'll get at it as soon as I can. But in this, I explain exactly how you want to go about preparing for being totally self-sufficient. For the person who says you can't be self-sufficient, it's not for them, because they're not ready to put in the work. They're not ready to expand their own lives. They're not willing to do what it takes. Oh, I should have said, and by the way, they're available on Amazon or through our website, stonemont.us. I'll put the links down below. But most people aren't willing to put in the work that I explain in that. And it's not just a how-to book. It's a story. It's a great story. Oh, it's a story of love and challenge and disaster and all sorts of things. Somebody said it'll make you laugh, it'll make you cry, it'll make you be thankful for the things that you have, it'll make you cry again, it'll make you understand the importance of the foundational principles, all those kinds of things. And yes, they're exactly right. But how are you preparing? That's the important thing. How are you preparing? Are you preparing to truly become self-sufficient? Do you really want to become self-sufficient? And you should. Do you want to have control over your life so that external powers don't have control over your life? Because when bad things happen, if you're not in control, somebody else is going to be in control. Just like now, there's other people in control of parts of your life, right? For the most part. Maybe there's a few of you out here who have gotten totally divorced from the systems. And while you still might deal with the system sometime when you go out to eat or drive on the roads or whatever, you could, if everything fell apart, you'd be just fine. And if you're not one of those, trust me, I know plenty of those people. It can be done. And you can do it if you prepare the right way. Now, I can't give you all of the specifics, and that's not the purpose of this video. The purpose of this video is to get you thinking and understanding that there is a right way to prepare. And there's a wrong way to prepare. And the wrong way to prepare is out of fear, anxiety, doing it in a hurry, throwing money all over the place, not knowing what you're doing without a plan. And those people end up with a whole lot of one thing and not enough of something else. And we probably all know people like that. They've got more guns than they'll ever need and more ammo than they'll ever need because that's what they latched onto. But they're not that good in the food department. They're not that good in the vehicle department. They're not that good in the family department. They're not that good in this. They're not that foundational in the spiritual department. They have not looked forward enough, far enough, to really make sure that no matter what happens, they're going to be ready. And then there's a right way to do it. And that's to have a responsible understanding of the threats of the world. And it's all of those things that the news and many prepper channels like to go over and pounding the things that I talked about earlier. All of those things are legitimate threats. But none of them individually are worth your emotional stability. Okay? Because if you were bang, bang, banging all over the place, running from one fear to the next, you're not going to get much done. Okay? Oh, you'll get maybe a big pile of stuff over here and a big pile of stuff over here and a big pile of stuff over there. And then what? See, it's not a matter of having big piles of things. It's a matter of having an integrated approach, an integrative approach to preparing to continue to live a good life no matter what happens. So that was the point that I wanted to get across today. There is a right way to prepare. It's a way with a plan of emotional stability, of responsibility. It's methodical. It's understanding what your goal is and knowing the steps you need to take along the way. And then there's the other way that the world pretty much promotes, and that's a way of fear and anxiety. And it never works. When was the last time you made a good decision out of fear and anxiety? You haven't. Okay. It may have worked out okay, but it wasn't the right way to do it. Okay? So just keep that in mind. Realize that you can prepare well. At the end of all of our, and as the motto of our business, the motto of this channel, we say we prepare well today in order to live well tomorrow. Well, we want to live well tomorrow no matter what happens. We want to live well today. But living well tomorrow depends on preparing well today. So don't be afraid. Don't allow the world that wants you to operate out of fear to drive you in that direction, because it's going to drive you away from responsible decisions and the goal that you really want. Okay? So, again, if you really want the entire plan, and you want a great story and you'll love them and you'll enjoy them, the Stonemont series, it's available on Amazon. It's also available directly from us at stonemont.us. Amazon gets them to you pretty quick. I get them to you slower because I'm always running out. By the way, thank you all for I mean, the order are just going out like unbelievable. The books, the mugs, the T-shirts, everything like that. And I so much enjoy when people order from me directly, because then I get to sign their books. That people have been learning from these since 2017. I've been involved in preparedness for over 50 years, and I try to share the lessons that I've learned in that time in these books. And people learn about from these all over the world. And if you haven't read them, you can too. And you know what? You'll learn more even the second time through that you read them. And I say that because I've had people tell me they are reading through the entire series on their 5th time, and they're still finding things that they missed the first 4 times through because they got so enwrapped with the story. So again, the way you can order these, Amazon, links down below. And on Amazon, you can get them in paperback or Kindle or Audible. They're out on Audible now, and people have been wanting that for years, and I'm glad that they're out there. Or you can get them from me in paperback, and the links are down below. So keep that in mind. Decide what you want to do. Do you really want to be prepared? Or do you just want to be running around all over the place confused? And if you really want to be prepared, if you want to be not a prepper, I don't like that term prepper. If you want to be what I call the PMP, a prepared-minded person, which means you have made preparedness a way of life. So it's not an activity. It's not just something that you do now and again, not something that you do for the wrong reasons, but you do it for the right reasons, because you are prepared-minded and it becomes a lifestyle. Then continue to join us. And I would invite you come over to the Patreon channel. That link is also down below. There's a lot that I don't put on YouTube because I'll be just real honest. There's just a lot of crazy people on YouTube, and I just don't deal with them. You know, I don't like, so I don't put out specific information much on YouTube. We do put out a lot of specific information over on the Patreon channel. That's the information that you need to prepare the right way. Okay? So remember that we prepare well today in order to live well tomorrow. And preparing well means preparing the right way, and you can do it. And I hope you do. You all have a good day. I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.